All right. Good morning, Rod Bikes. Today we're going to do something with the tires on mid-drifter. So I put tubes in right away. These are what they call tubeless ready. That'll be upside down, but you can read it maybe. Tubeless ready tires and rims. But they need special rim strips. So I made a visit to our shop yesterday on my day off and picked up the Stan's no tubes rim tape rather. This is 33 millimeters wide, which should work fine in my 35 millimeter wide outer diameter rims. The other thing you need is this tubeless Presta valve. Basically this tightens up inside the hole and seals it so it's airtight. So those two items are needed, both Stan's products on this occasion. And then you have to choose a sealant that you want in your tubes. For years I've used this orange seal. This is regular, meaning it's for normal season warm riding. They also have a extreme, which is for cold weather, which I put in my fat bike when I was riding in the winter around here in the North Country. But this is for the summer application. So you have this little tube, and this guy gets inserted on the end of your valve stem when the core is removed, and you put about 4 ounces in out of this, what is this guy? I think it's about 8 ounces, so half the bottle in each tire. So that's what I'm going to do today. You might say, why go tubeless? Well, basically, what an inner tube in a tire is basically what a bladder on the inside of a basketball is. It's a rubber bladder that you fill with air, and the result is you get something that bounces. Right? So what it does is it takes the bounce out of the ride, makes your mountain bike stick to the terrain, and you don't have the issue of pinch flats. So you can run the pressure lower in the tires and get more of that high frequency absorption just out of the tire itself. So that's today's project. I'm going to check in later and tag on to this video. Stay tuned. Okay, we're back in the back 40. So I have the rim tape on, and it's important that you get it sealed right along the edges on both sides of the rim. It's a little bubbly in the middle, but that's okay. It's because of the shape of this rim on the inside. But sealed really good here. Then I overlapped it about 2 inches so I could cover the valve hole. Now here's the tubeless valve inset. You can see that's a large rubber kind of gasket-like thing that's going to help plug the hole. But my hands, and maybe even your hands, aren't strong enough to get that valve stem nut tight enough. So what I use is the little needle nose pliers and just make short little turns until this guy will seat down inside here to plug the hole. And now a few turns later, and I've got the plug sitting pretty flush with the inside of the rim tape. And it actually tightens up like a nut would tighten up when it's tight. So we'll move on from here. The next step will be to put the tire on the rim, inflate it without any sealant in there, just to get the rim set, the tire seated on the rim, and then we'll put some of the orange seal inside through the removable valve core, and then reinflate it. All right. So for this next step, my main motto is prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Because this doesn't always work. Especially you should have a compressor, an air compressor, which I don't have. I have this fancy Bontrager pump that allows you to preload the air in it. I have it up to about 130. It's actually going to only put in probably maybe 50 or 60 pounds, if it works, into this tire. But then you pull this lever to release the pressure, and we see if it fills it or not. Now remember, there's no inner tube in here. I'm just counting on the ability of the tire, which has been on this bike now for a couple weeks, to retain the air. But again, you expect the worst, meaning it won't work, and hope for the best. All right, are you with me? We're going to release the Kraken. Wow, did you hear that pop? It sealed it, and my glasses fell off. So that means we're really... Ooh, another snap. Perfect. Okay. Wow, success. Old Odd Job still got it. Anyway, so now it's actually sealed on that rim. Now here's why it works so well. They've been on with a tube, and they're brand new tires on relatively new rims, and they've got a really nice wide, more soft tissue durometer, sticky kind of a rim edge. And that's why it sucked down there so nicely. It's definitely in my top 2 of all successes on a tubeless setup. So now the thing is, we're going to pull this valve, the pump off, and we have to close down the valve quickly while I get my sealant ready with the applicator. And then you need one other tool. You need this Park Tool valve core remover. Come on, baby. There we go. VC1, valve core 1 remover tool. Again, I'm having a hard time focusing this morning. All right. So we pull the valve core out. You might say, doesn't all the air come out? Yes, it does. But that's when you slip over this rubber hose as quickly as possible to keep that from happening. And then the material inside here will block it. It will create a vacuum and block the air from coming out. And then this is heavier than air, so it will insert itself, spread itself throughout the tire. Then we pull this off, put the valve core in very quickly, reinflate if necessary, and then put it on the bike and ride around a little bit so that the solution gets spread throughout the tire. All right, here we go. I'll check in probably after I get the solution in. It's too fast otherwise. All right, hang in there. All right, so you might say, why do I use the orange sealant? I just pulled off the inner paper that keeps the stuff fresh. Can you see the little particles here? Tiny, but they're there, little sandy-like particles. Those are actually little pieces of mineral that help to keep the sealant thick enough so that basically this sealant can seal up a puncture up to 1/8 inch in diameter, believe it or not. I've ridden over stuff in the desert out in Arizona and hit some large cacti. And here you can see it coming up into the tube. And you can hear it go, and then it seals up the hole and you ride on. So, really beneficial in that respect as well as taking the improving the ride quality. All right, here we go. We're going in. Alrighty then. So, obviously the air's coming out of there. Like I said, I had about 60 psi in there. So when you tilt the bottle over initially and have to get that little sleeve on the end of the valve stem, which is nearly the same diameter, you have a little burpage, but that's not bad. I'm going to be a grandpa for the first time in November, and I can anticipate that this will be minuscule compared to what I end up with on my shoulder. All right, so now we lost a little air, but I feel like the seal's still good. We're going to find out right now because I'm going to trip the lever on the pump, which is already attached. Bam. And it sealed up nicely. All right, so I'm going to leave this at a higher pressure right now than I would for riding. And I'm going to put it on the bike and ride around the neighborhood a little bit to get that sealant spread out because it's all sitting right down here in the lower quadrant of the tire currently. Back at you. All right. Well, I'm back in the back 40 after the maiden voyage. And I got to say, to quote Andre the Giant, it rides like a sham. It rides great. Yeah, so actually I had about 35 pounds of pressure in there from the initial blast, so I brought it up to 45 to ride around and let it seat really well. What will happen is the sealant will also sit in around the edge now of the tire and help it to seat even better. So, but man, every time I get on this thing, I go, it's just set up perfectly for me, and that's what you get when you start from the ground up, and it's built, not bought. This is Odd Job signing off on a Friday morning, and it's a warm one. We're already in the 80s, heading for the 90s again. Have a good one. Right on.